Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roll20 Community Roundtable for this beautiful month of April 2020. I am Soraya, my pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Communications.
I am Kenton, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm the Product Director.
Awesome. So, little heads up that my computer is having graphics card technical issues today. So if things get wonky, just enjoy it. You're along for the ride. But hopefully I've sorted them out enough that we can have a pretty smooth stream here. So yeah, let's get to it. Just to let y'all know, last time we did one of these roundtables, it went for 2 hours, which was quite the marathon session, and left both Kenton and myself gasping for breath.
I'm hearing that we're lagging, is what I'm hearing.
Oh. All right, chat, tell me, how badly are we lagging? Is it like can't hear a darn thing, or? Man.
Maybe it's just the video.
Audio seems fine. Okay. I'm going to have to run with that because, like I said, might be having some graphics card issues, and there's only so much I can do about it right now. As long as the audio is great, which they're all saying it is. Sorry about the lag. The internet's busy, you know. Ooh, it's like a stop motion vid. Kenton, can you do the robot?
Very easily in this case.
Yeah. All right. Well, close your eyes and listen to our podcast. So anyway, last time we went for 2 hours and we were exhausted. So we're going to actually wrap this one at 1 hour, no matter how many questions we get through. Because we started 10 minutes late, I am going to go 10 minutes late because that seems only fair. But we're going to go over some major stuff that's been going on with Roll20 lately, then go through some pre-submitted questions at about 20 minutes short of the cutoff time, so around 5:50 p.m. with the adjusted schedule. We are going to switch to chat questions because we want to make sure that those of you who came here today have the chance to ask us your questions and have them answered live. We will have also mods going through the chat and answering as many of your questions in text as they can, but we wanted to make sure we balance that out. So we'll get through as many pre-submitted questions as we can, switch over to chat, answer chat questions. If there's still time left at the end, we'll go back to pre-submitted questions, but it's only going to be an hour, so I'm going to try and be a martinet about this, Kenton. We're going to be fast.
Yes, no, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay, yes, perfect. Okay, let's go. So last month on the roundtable, we showed off the updated dynamic lighting. That is now live for all users. It is awesome and going to get awesomer. That is a feature that is in active development, so we're adding more to it every day. Well, that's not quite true, but it's kind of close to true, right, Kenton? How many patches have you done?
It's not false. I mean, we are adding to it every day. The patches aren't going live every day, but yeah.
Yeah, we've got folks working over the weekend. Reasonably and responsibly, but just making sure that anything gets caught. You can check all of our previous roundtables on the YouTube. This one will be uploaded there as well. We also have a stay-at-home, play-at-home initiative going on. It's a unique state of affairs right now, and so we're working with a whole bunch of different publishers to try and bring you free items. Free content, free games for you to play, free stuff for you to check out. Our mods in chat are going to be posting the link to the most recent stay-at-home, play-at-home, but we've had I think 3 different iterations of adding things. Yeah, so there's quite a bit. Keep an eye on that blog series or Twitter for more about stay-at-home, play-at-home. We also just released the Roll20 Rundown for April yesterday. It has highlights, recent updates, kind of a longer form of the stuff that I'm talking about right now. Carlos even does a quick look at updated dynamic lighting. That's a really helpful overview into how it works. And it's only 5 minutes long, an excellent way to spend your 5 minutes.
It was my second best 300 seconds of yesterday. So.
Oh, do I dare ask what the first best was?
It was during work. It was a different meeting and people were complimenting me, I'm sure. Something like that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. If somebody compliments me, my ego.
I got
gets very
300
big.
seconds of that, and then it turned it immediately back down to the other stuff that happens.
Oh no. The swings and of the trials and tribulations of being Kenton, eh?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting life, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a lot more in the works for quality of a life improvement, so keep an eye on our blog. We also have a number of product questions that came up in the pre-submitted questions. We will get to those there, so I'm not going to quite go over them right now. We have a new stream coming up on the D&D channel called Learning Roll20. This is a stream that will feature Victoria, GM of the Broadswords. We were actually hosting their stream right before we went live. Victoria's excellent people, and we'll be teaching our very own Carlos how to use Roll20. It'll be a really in-depth guide, step-by-step, that'll walk you through how to use Roll20. We're hoping that that's going to be a good resource for people who are just coming to the platform. So yeah, keep an eye out for that on the D&D Twitch channel, and the VODs will go up on Roll20's YouTube channel. Yeah, so shall we hop to questions?
Let's dig right in.
Digging. Okay. Here we are. First question. Kenton, it's for you. Does having updated dynamic lighting in public beta open the way to some of the previously blocked tasks?
Not just yes, but heck yes. There's at least 5 different suggestions in suggested ideas that I would say that the suggestions are big enough. There are probably 10 or more different launches that we'd actually end up having. But they include all kinds of things like one-way dynamic lighting and
I can finally have windows?
like doors and stuff. Yeah, doors and windows. All that kind of stuff is now possible where it wasn't before.
Cool. So the plan, as I understand it, is right now we've got updated dynamic lighting. We're going through and fixing some known issues with it. Then we're going to keep adding some features to get parity, like absolute parity with the legacy dynamic lighting. Then that's when we're going to start doing new stuff like one-way dynamic lighting. Cool.
Yep.
All right. And that was a question from the Aaron. So next question here is from Adrian. Will you expand dynamic lighting?
Yeah, speaking of those updates, I mean, this is kind of a similar answer to that, but we, the updates and Adrian, I think is the name here, mentioned a few different options in there. I think I just mentioned them: the doors, the windows, the cliffs, the one-way dynamic lighting, those kinds of things. Those are included.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
That's something that Adrian is interested in. They mentioned seeing doors and cliffs and stuff.
And all of that is stuff that we can now do with the updated dynamic lighting. Once, and as you said, once we get to the feature parity standpoint and we're up to date and we can sunset legacy and there's a buffer time in there, that's when we'll be able to schedule some of these other items in there.
A perfect segue to the next question from Ralph. When will updated dynamic lighting become the only option?
After now.
So
did you want more detail? Oh, sorry.
I kind of did. Yes, okay. I can throw some in, but
I'm very it will be after now. I don't want to say a date yet because I really want to get the feature parity aspect complete, right? So I don't want to have I don't want to switch over and it not be as good or better. So that's really what I'm looking for. There's not a time, there's not a date. It's
right. It's when it's ready. And I know that you and I have talked about making sure that people get plenty of heads up when we make that switch, right? Yep. So yeah, we can't give you a date yet, Ralph, because we want to make sure that everything is lined up and ready before we set any kind of date. But when we have selected one, we'll make sure you know it way in advance. All right. The next question.
So yeah, Pathfinder 2nd edition. Soraya, will Pathfinder 2nd edition adventures like Extinction Curse be released in a reasonable time frame?
Yep. If you actually check out last month's roundtable, we went into that in great detail. But we will be releasing all of the Extinction Curse on the date of the final Adventure Path. So when all of those Adventure Path chapters come out, we will release the whole thing as a bundle. Starting from that point and moving forward, each Adventure Path that comes out for new stories every month, we're going to have those ready for day and date launches.
Great. Will Pathfinder 2nd Edition have a free compendium like Pathfinder 1st Edition does, or is this only for people that buy the rulebook? And before you answer that, the last question was from Bumblebee.
Yes.
This question is from Yes.
This is from Yes. Hello. Also, I'm sorry for my Adobe updating in the middle of this. Everybody just got one of those annoying pings that makes you think your stuff updated. It was my Adobe. Sorry about that. I tried telling it to be quiet before the stream and it wouldn't listen. Anyway, to answer Yes's question, there is no planned SRD release for Pathfinder 2nd Edition on Roll20, and I promise to do questions fast. But so, next.
Next, will the Lost Omens books for Pathfinder 2nd Edition be added to Roll20? Mike wants to know.
Well, Mike, at this time, we are not planning on bringing that particular accessory rulebook to Roll20. We're focusing on the rulebooks usable for the majority of Pathfinder 2nd Edition games, as well as the main adventure pass for the time being. So we're really getting that core content out first before we talk about adding, what's a good word for like expansions?
DLC.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll take a turn.
Yeah.
Spren wants to know. I like this question.
I do too.
If Spren recalls correctly, and they do, we got the quick dice roller from an internal hackathon. Are there plans to do another anytime soon? And if so, can we offer suggestions?
So this question has multiple answers. We get these are pre-prepared so we can like think about them and write about them. So I'm going to go through my answer. We've done a hackathon in 2018 and in 2019. We typically schedule them in October to coincide with the Hacktoberfest event that's put on by GitHub and DigitalOcean. I actually meant to wear one of my Hacktoberfest shirts and completely forgot until just now. That's great. Good job. I get to prepare and I don't do it.
You wore a cool like Newton's Cradle Pluto shirt though.
Yeah, Pluto flying off in the end. You do get to see the results of those. We don't always call them out as Hacktoberfest projects, partially because our hackathons, internal hackathons, are like a week, and it's just prototyping, getting stuff out there, throwing some ideas against a wall, and just some fun running around in the code base. Well, the things that you've seen, the quick roller is one of those. As you mentioned, custom sheet sandboxes were also a internal hackathon, and we actually tested that for quite a while internally to make sure that it was working. The team who builds our official Roll20 sheets ended up using that primarily to build the sheets and make sure that we weren't missing features and those kinds of things. The pickup games on the Looking for Group page, that was from a hackathon, and then custom token markers was one of the 2018, and we ended up reworking that completely by the time we came back around. But it was a lot of fun. We had a prototype, and then
the idea started there.
Yeah.
Slade loves the sheet sandbox, by the way, from chat.
I'm glad to hear that. But I say all that. You'll also notice that a lot of the hackathon projects start in the suggestions and ideas section of our website. If you go there, and they weren't necessarily even highly voted, they were just interesting to the developer who wanted to work on those. So do you get to pick them? Absolutely. In the same way you get to pick a lot of our features, right? Like I personally love user feedback. It makes my job so much easier. So head on over to suggestions and ideas, throw some votes around, put in your own idea. That's the way to do it.
Kenton lives on suggestions and ideas for him. There's a little cabin.
That's literally true. Yeah.
So V2 Blast asks, what upcoming feature of Roll20 that's not out yet are you most excited for?
I feel like you should get to answer this one too, Soraya. But
I feel like I do too. But you go first.
Okay, so mine is a combination of the updated dynamic lighting combined with one-way dynamic lighting, and then the ability to put in circles, right? Circles were not really possible with the canvas style of dynamic lighting, but with WebGL, we can process a whole lot faster on a curved line, which is not actually one line, it's like 360 lines, and so it has to do the rate. Yeah, anyway, all the math thing. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just repeating what other people have told me in a lot of ways. That's my secret, and I'm sticking to it. But once we do that, the cool like pillars or columns or different areas of the terrain on a map that you want to be able to see but not see past, it lets us do that in a much more interesting way and a more immersive way. So, but Soraya, I want to hear yours.
Okay, so my kosher answer is updated dynamic lighting.
Okay.
My slightly against the rules answer is something that we haven't announced yet, Kenton, but it's coming out soon.
No, we're good. We don't have to. I don't want. You do. Go ahead to tell us.
Okay. So the developers right now are working on this really cool, I guess a compendium limiter. We haven't named it yet.
Yeah.
But basically, it's going to be something where if you have multiple rule books for a certain game system and you want to turn on compendium sharing, you can actually limit which rule books are accessible. So, for example, I have the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and I freaking love it, but I'm not always running a campaign in Ravnica, and so having rules come up that are like Ravnica rules in my, little Sword Coast Adventurers campaign is not necessarily welcome. So we have something coming up that will allow you to actually select which one of those are accessible in your game.
And it's cooler than that. It's not just the sharing ones, but you can say like, we want to take. I only want a game with the player's handbook content, and that's all. And you can do that no matter who owns what else. Yeah.
It limits stuff your players can bring in also. Like
that was much better than that. Like that's a perfectly fine unannounced feature that we could talk about right here. I was probably going to do that later today anyway. But
okay, well then I didn't go too far.
Yeah, thank you, V2 Blast.
I'm curious what I scared you about. Yeah, thank you, V2 Blast, who is in the chat. Thank you for joining us and for pre-submitting a question. And also, apparently, if you ask leading questions, sometimes you get us to spill stuff that's not officially announced yet. I'm just putting that out there. All right, this person did not put a name in, so Blank asks...
We should give him a name, though.
Joshua.
Okay, Joshua. What did Joshua want to know?
Just because I was playing in a Pathfinder 2 campaign last night, and our opponent was named Joshua.
Okay.
Not that you're an opponent, Joshua.
Whoever asked this question.
Yeah. Well, chat has overruled me. They vote pizza. So Pizza
I think Pizza's a middle name, though. Joshua Pizza.
Joshua Pizza. What's Joshua Pizza? What's their last name?
Stewart. Joshua Pizza Stewart.
That's a little plain Jane, I think.
Pizza is not a plain Jane middle name.
Well, pizza's the good part.
I'm not saying it's not.
Okay. Joshua Pizza asks, how would you define Roll20 in the newly competitive VTT marketplace? What will we focus on?
Roll20 started because the co-founders wanted to play easily and remotely, and it wasn't easy to play remotely 8 years ago. Can you imagine?
Oh, God.
Yeah, and we continually focus on making it easier and more accessible to connect and play. And so I think that's what sets us apart, and that's what will continue to set us apart.
Yeah, and I think that's become especially relevant and obvious recently. There are a lot of people who are, moving games online, and Roll20 has been a place where those folks can go and move their game online really easily because you don't have to buy anything to get started. And one of the guiding principles that we have is that the core features of your tabletop should be available for free as Roll20. You don't have to pay extra to roll dice or upload maps or anything like that. And so having that available and having that number of resources available just off the bat to make it easy, to kind of circle back around to making it easy to play games online, I think that's our key focus and something that has really driven the company over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Joshua Pizza Stewart III, Esquire. which is apparently what chat has named this anonymous question asker.
Good job. Good job, chat. Good job, us. All right, I'm going to hand the next question over to you. Oh, wait, no, it's still mine, because this is a development question. Is there a 5-year roadmap for improvements, or is it on a project-by-project basis with user input? Just going to sit back here and watch Kenton nerd out.
Oh, well, I mean, I love the fact that this question was asked either project by project or 5-year roadmap, right? Like there's no there's no in between. No, we have an internal roadmap and we have a public roadmap. Nolan, co-founder, usually posts the public roadmap in a pro form about a quarter or 6 months ahead of time. We don't like to put dates out just because there's unknowns when we do something, a quarter or 6 months out. We have the internal roadmap that is not user facing for a couple different reasons. Sometimes it's like internal tooling or things that we're building for us to help the XP team to do more better. Do more better. Do more better. Yeah.
That's actually the unofficial motto of the XP team is do more better.
Do more better. Mm-hmm. Cool. I like that. And then not do more good, do more better.
Do more better. Yeah.
The other one, internal roadmap. Oh, the other internal roadmap is sometimes we'll come across an issue or two that are there are underlying things that we need to fix, and so we'll make that an external roadmap later. Basically.
Right. Yeah. Is that along the lines of we wanted to do a weather layer, realized that our graphics needed an overhaul, and so therefore updated dynamic lighting became necessary?
Yep. Cool. But the compendium selection, you've seen it, and we're testing it already on our internal staging stuff, and so that's why I'm perfectly fine talking about that's going to come out soon, because we know that it is.
Yeah.
I will say that you should expect to see. Not you, Soraya, but
I expect it. I personally expect it. Gimme.
Well, you will expect this too, to see more coming out faster, but less big, more faster. Yeah, that's our goal over the next.
So we have less big, more faster, and do good, do more, better.
Yeah.
Okay, those are our mottos as a company.
I'm gonna get that tattoo. So I wanted to ask you a question from Jason and Bramble. Actually, both asked very similar questions. What is going to happen with Adam Coble? Is he still our GM in residence? And what about the other cast members talking about Roll20 Presents?
Right. So we reviewed the situation that related to Adam and followed our own policy and code of conduct. As a result of that, we invited everyone within both groups of our ongoing streams, the Roll20 Presents and the Jay Speller and Must Die groups, for a conversation in whatever format they were most comfortable with, whether they preferred to reach out to us individually or be part of a group conversation. So each one of them got that invitation, and throughout those conversations, a decision was reached to end the current shows. We are, however, continuing to work with the cast members who engaged with us in that process and want to continue working with Roll20 in the future. We look forward to much more great content from them and are excited to see where those conversations take us. So please keep an eye out for new announcements about shows from all of those groups. For those who are moving along, we appreciate their past performances and their all the stuff that they've done for Roll20.
Absolutely.
Okay. Carol wants to know, how have you been affected by the extra load? And I feel like we could both answer that, but why don't you start?
I was going to make a joke about, what do you mean? But yeah, we have had, with the world where it is in April of 2020, there's a lot of people who are staying indoors, and Roll20 is a really good alternative to the other entertainment options when you get bored of those, or for it's my primary entertainment. Yeah. it's not everyone's primary. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to is we have a lot of people playing and a lot more people playing than we've had in the past. We have had some hiccups over the past few weeks of trying to get things up and running when they are overloaded. But I've been extremely proud of how well we've been able to do and keep up under that load. It's pretty significant, the changes that we've had, and there's a lot of public attention that's been put to that. Several different articles, people talking about this, and all the publishers are putting some great content out, and we've been able to work with that with the Stay at Home, Play at Home initiative, and kind of lead that vanguard, which I'm very proud of. It's been tiring, I guess. That's how have you been affected by the extra load? I'm more tired now than I was a month ago. How about that?
Yeah, and we were pretty tired a month ago.
That's true.
So yeah, I think it's all of this happened right as we were ramping up to the launch of updated dynamic lighting, which in itself is a huge launch that we've made a big deal about because we're very excited for it. And it has sort of forced us to expand more quickly in the ways that Kenton was talking about, also in the ways that we're trying to offer customer support to folks. So Dresspar, one of our XP, one of our XP folks, is in chat joking about tickets are love, tickets are life. We are getting a lot of user tickets and doing our best to support all of those. As Kenton referenced, we're also hearing from a lot of publishers who want to make sure that people have the resources basically to stay inside and stay safe and be entertained and connect with others during this time. So we've really been pulling out the stops on the licensing end as well, trying to accommodate as many requests as we can to try and make Stay at Home, Play at Home available with free content, to try and help conventions that are being forced to move online get access to the resources that they need, and to tell people, where to find those conventions. So yeah, it's been a lot, but I'm really happy. At the same time, as much as it is quite a lot to deal with, I'm really happy with the fact that Roll20 right now is able to provide so many people with that way to connect during this time. I know, just anecdotally, I've had a number of friends reaching out to me regularly to be like, hey, thank you. Our game didn't have to cancel because we were able to move to Roll20. And so I'm really happy that we're able to provide this place for people to connect with each other.
I told all my friends, I was like, hey, I'm going to hook you up with some cool free stuff, and then gave them the free stuff that was already available.
Oh, that's a good ploy. Oh, I did not even think of that.
I'm a terrible friend is what people are learning.
I just offered to walk people through the process, knowing full well that they'll all be too shy to actually ask for my help. So I seem really nice, and then they go and they figure it out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That works too.
I end up walking people through it because it's good user research, but we we live different lives.
That's your thing. Okay. Oopsies. Hang on a second. I think I went slightly out of order. Here we go. All right. We had another anonymous question. If chat chooses to name this person, I will give chat the...
we will continue to update this personal pronoun as chat names them.
Yes. Anonymous wants to know, how do you turn a 3rd edition character into a 5th edition character, or better yet, how do you turn a character from any edition into any other?
Floyd Pizza wanted to know that, huh? So this is kind of outside the scope of the conversations when it comes into the software, right? And I think that it's a great question to put in the character sheet forums. We have a forum that's dedicated just to character sheets and how they work, and getting help with those, and the community built around those. And there are some specific use and question macros. The forum name is Specific Use Questions and Macros Forum. They will be able to help out right there. I want to thank Bunny especially for coming up with that great answer after I was like, I don't know. That's been, just a question. So thank you, looks like Floyd Calzone is the most recent one. Floyd Calzone. That makes sense because it was Patrick Pizza. No, I don't know.
it wasn't. It was Joshua Pizza
Stewart
Esquire, the third Esquire.
The third Esquire, yeah.
Okay, yes.
So
but this one is
Calzone.
Floyd Calzone.
Yeah.
Floyd Calzone Jr., who you went to high school with Floyd Calzone Jr., didn't you?
Floyd was 4 years above me, so we went to the same high school, but we weren't there at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I went to school with Todd Calzone, who was his younger brother.
Oh, okay. I knew you'd mentioned the Calzones before.
Yeah, the Calzones.
It's a good family, good people.
Yeah, they are.
Patricio.
They're just filled with warm. Nope. Okay. I'm getting somebody's making this symbol. Okay.
They love giving hugs. So they just wrap you up when you come visit. Yeah. All right. Meditating Monkey has put dibs on the next anonymous question. It's going to be Jennifer Stromboli.
I like that they're all savory. What are those called? Pastries. There it is. Savory pastries.
Okay. So Patricio M asks about problems with dynamic lights. They get into a couple of details about how the system gets extremely slow and some map reveal issues. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about in general about issues with dynamic lights and what y'all are doing to work on those.
As we mentioned earlier in the stream, we've resolved about a dozen issues with updated dynamic lighting system over. I made this earlier in the week, but over 4 releases since the Monday of last week. So active development. We continue to put out the fixes and changes to it. The known issues list is there to make sure that it's up forefront, transparent what's happening and what we're working on and what we know about.
Yeah, and for those who are live with us in chat, Winged Lioness, our moderator Bunny, just put a link in there for if you have issues or questions. There's a place that you can go on our forum to post bug reports about updated dynamic lighting, and that's something that we really appreciate because it's helping us continue to find what needs to be changed and improved. There's a lot of systems that have to interact with this, so it's been really helpful, and we're making a lot of changes pretty quickly.
And people have used dynamic lighting in a lot of ways. It's a very open system, and Roll20 itself is a very open system, and so finding out how people use it is helpful to us.
Yeah. And you can have the to-do list satisfaction of watching all the known issues get slowly crossed off as we go through. Well,
sometimes, if you're lucky, you even get to be the one to put the strike through styling.
I bet that feels good.
It does. I'll make sure you get to do one.
Yes, thank you. That's what I need.
Again, free things that I'm giving away as if they're mine to give. I don't know if you can hear the thunder and lightning. Oh, you can't hear lightning, but
no.
I guess you can. Yeah, it is raining.
You can in the sense that you eventually hear the thunder. I saw you looking over there, and I assumed that, I don't know, one of your chickens was getting in a fight.
No, straight up downpour right now, torrential raining. I'm on the second level though, so it'll be fine. It'll flood below, but I'll be just fine.
You'll just be streaming up till the end. We appreciate this.
Yes, it's a laptop. I'll just pick it up and go.
Go on the roof. Oh wait.
That way they can know where to send the boats. So question from Leslie C wants to know: will there be more support for Warhammer Fantasy RPGs or Zweihander in the future?
Zweihander.
Yeah.
Zweihander? Zweihander. I don't know. Yeah. Why don't I not pretend that I can speak German, which I assume that is.
Me too. That's fine.
As far as Zweihander, you'll have to wait for more announcements from Zweihander. It'll come directly from the publisher. The Grim and Perilous RPG is handling their product conversions onto the Roll20 marketplace, so keep an eye on them for information about that.
But it sounds like more support is a thing. So
maybe I can't confirm that, but maybe the publisher can.
Great.
Kenton.
Next question comes from Paul. Will the increase in use for games that have been moved to from tabletop to online, when will there be more core support for games that aren't D&D?
Well, We are working actively on that and have been working on that actively for a while now. In the last year, we have released support for 4 new game systems: Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Call of Cthulhu, Kids on Bikes, and Fate, both core and accelerated. So we are adding more system support. In addition, several publishers have brought their own games to Roll20, such as For the Queen, Zombie World, and Dialect. There's a ton of games that you can play other than D&D on Roll20. Obviously, like, play the ones that work best for you, try some new things, but I would definitely just say, keep an eye out and look around. There's more out there than you might be aware of. If you've been a D&D player for a very long time, you might not be paying as much attention to the other stuff we're releasing, but I highly, highly recommend checking out some of these other games.
There are a lot of that. There are even more than what we mentioned, right? Like things that have been on the system for a while. But I think even more than that is, for me at least, I end up converting a lot of games myself, which is something that anyone can do, right? Even a free user card game that you like or whatever, it doesn't have to come from the Roll20 marketplace. If you want to play it on Roll20, you can play it on Roll20.
Yeah.
That is a challenge. Prove me wrong. How about that? Prove me wrong. Let me know what doesn't work next time we do one of these, and we'll make it work.
And then Kenton will try and prove you wrong by taking that system and trying to adapt it himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yuan, E-U-A-N. How would you pronounce that, Soraya?
Ewan.
Ewan wants to know: would you ever consider adding Adventures in Middle Earth to Roll20?
We can't speak to any unannounced partnerships with publishers, so all I can say is make sure the publisher of your favorite games knows that you'd like to see them on Roll20.
And you can find the publisher of your favorite game by searching for them on the internet.
I
don't know if that's helpful.
The internet's a thing. V2 Blast says it's pronounced Zweihander, so I was kind of close.
Yeah, it sounds good. I don't speak German at all.
I just needed to lean into it.
Yeah.
All right. Kenton, a whole bunch of people want to ask you about dynamic lighting and its future. So Michael, Justin, and Mitch would like to know about the future of dynamic lighting, specifically dark vision toggles, feathered shadow edges, and colored lighting.
So one of the most requested changes so far has been the appearance of night vision, which is, did you hear that? Thunder.
I think I heard a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I might have to get a microphone. If you like rain, like thunderstorm sounds, it is happening now.
I like thunderstorms.
Sorry, we're doing a show, aren't we? Yeah, one of the most requested changes so far has been the appearance of night vision, and yeah, I knew that before we went to beta. I knew that after we went to beta, once it was on the dev server and going live, that was going to be something that was really important. Some of the questions are asking very specific things about dark vision and how that works in 5th edition or a different edition or a different game, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the key, is that we're going to make it work. It'll be apparently different. Like it will appear different so that you can tell this is bright light, this is low light, and this is night vision. That's happening, as of this week. I was looking at some prototypes of that. How we do that and what we call it in the different toggles are going to be part of the expansion, but right now we're focused on feature parity and making sure that it's there. And I think that this is actually a perfect example of beyond feature parity, like things that we've improved. In order to get night vision before, you could have a token that had light that only it could see, which is not the same as night vision. And now, we have this own thing that's discrete and independent from itself, and so as soon as we make the appearance a little bit different, I feel like it'll be perfect.
Yeah, and we try to keep it broad so that it can be used in a bunch of different scenarios, but I could envision myself using the current night vision with, like, let's say I have a game about playing in space, and my particular character has some kind of I don't know, dark light vision-y thing. But anyway, like, it could be something that comes from your helmet as opposed to something that comes from having magical elf eyes. Right. But keeping it broad that way, I think, really makes it more expansive. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be its own, like, it doesn't have to be light or this. It can be light and this, which I think is the best part.
That's fun. Feathered shadow edges and colored lighting?
those are the after we get feature parity. Those are coming. The feathered shadow edges are.
Sounds fancy.
It does. I have to think, like, I have to put those words in my head and then think about them within the system in order. But all of those count as expansions, like enhancements to the updated dynamic lighting system. That's where I'd put them. And we're going to look at those after we achieve feature parity.
Cool. All right, I'm going to ask one more dynamic lighting question, and then we're going to switch over to some chat questions for a bit. Cool. But Victor and Titus ask for new dynamic lighting, for updated dynamic lighting. Will you add a low light range or dim light option to the night vision?
Yeah, I think I answered that one already, but I'll say it again. We are working on that. We're changing up the way that that will appear.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Right on the nick of time then. All right, switching over to chat questions. Boop, boop, boop. Ooh, no, don't look into the void. Don't ever look into the void. We're now answering chat questions. Okay, I'm going to have to scroll up a little bit, so... the first question I see is from Slices and Dices. Will other Chaosium scenarios for Call of Cthulhu 7 Edition be available for purchase on the marketplace? We do have more Cthulhu products that we are working on in the production calendar for this year. As with most things that are unannounced, I can't really tell you much more about them yet, but do keep an eye out for that. And also, check out the stuff that's already there if you haven't already. One of the things that I'm personally very excited about that we did is making 2 free adventures for Call of Cthulhu so that it's really easy for people to get into the system, because I think it's a cool system, and the more people try it out, the more folks will start playing it, I hope. But yeah, we definitely have plans to keep up with those of you who have tried it and want more to play with.
Yeah. People are really losing their sanity over Call of Cthulhu recently.
Oh, out you go. Out.
Yeah.
Out.
That's it.
Stream over. The next question is from Aetherpunk Cephalopod. I know custom compendiums are obstructed due to concerns regarding plagiarism, but I'm curious if that also affects the possibility of custom compendiums that are private, i.e. only exist in the creator's game rather than shared on the marketplace.
Custom compendiums are not really obstructed due to concerns over privacy. There was a point in time where that was true, but that's not anymore. Custom compendiums are obstructed right now primarily because our compendium system has some it needs, like some aspects of the original software design that need to be undesigned, to need to be enhanced and fixed in order to make it work. I talked about this a little bit in the suggestion that is in here on this particular one, where the things that actually make the compendium features work are very arcane, right? So like putting text in a handout or a character, that's relatively simple. But if you want to have something that you can drag and drop onto a character sheet, search for, drag and drop onto a character sheet and make changes to the character sheet, there's a bunch of underlying data that goes into that makes that actually work, and it has to be formatted perfectly or else it breaks everything. So that's why it's abstracted. What's
the short summary of that for someone who is less technically involved than yourself, aka me?
It's harder than it looks.
Okay. Keith Curtis summarized it as compendium backend is not simple. I would agree with that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Gosh, our mods have been up on answering a lot of these questions already. So I am not seeing more that we haven't gotten to in in chat, but I'm just going to go back and address one. Will there be a Dungeon Master's Guide with rollable tables add-on? And can we have a readable version of the books we buy from page to page? Will Sword Coast Adventures Guide be released soon? So all of the backlog stuff for D&D is on the schedule for this year, and we always make our best effort to try and not just port over the text like it's a PDF in a different format but to actually enhance the product. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like rollable tables added on there if rollable tables make sense in there, which I could very much see for the Dungeon Master's Guide. But yeah, so you have that. And as for reading it from page to page, I would say go into the compendium, and there's supposed to be a next page link at the bottom that'll pull you to the next page, so you can just read it in order that way.
And I know that there was a bug with that in the last bit of time. Sorry, time frames are harder in times of social distancing. I can't remember how long a day is or a year. So I know that there was a bug with that, the next page, previous page on some different compendium expansions, but I believe that's resolved now. I am going to ask a question. One of the questions, Cryofrost, I think, asked, when you create a new game, would it be possible to add in an option for language? It would make it easier than just switching the entire account's language all the time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cryofrost, for the question. That's a really interesting question. Technically, there's no reason why we couldn't do that. It is a little bit interesting to me that would, I guess, multilingual people may be in different games for different people, and so wanting to swap those, but it's that is independent to you too. It doesn't change the game for everybody else. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'd say hop on over to suggestions and ideas and post that in there, and I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too, as someone who has multilingual family members who switch back and forth, sometimes just to taunt me.
Yeah, but that is an independent thing to you, the user. You set up the language for the interface in the game for yourself. It doesn't change it for anybody else.
Okay. All right. Well, good way for me to practice my French is have certain games in French.
There you go.
All right. So there's a question from Sins and False Alarms, and it does repeat from something earlier. Actually, it repeats from something earlier, and we're hurrying, so I will skip ahead to Keith Curtis's question because our mods already jumped on it. So Keith Curtis asks, any prediction on when 5e feats will be available on the Charactermancer that can be chosen at creation but not level up?
Yeah, someone else pre-submitted this question. Let me find the name.
If it's Keith, I'm a laugh.
It's not. Jed. Okay. Jed is the one who asked this. Nope, I lied. It's not Jed. Jed asked a different question. Heavens, where is it? Oh, there it is. Andreas and Charles both asked this question too. So 3 people asked. Yeah, feats are funny, especially when it comes to leveling up. That the feats can be a lot of different things, and so that has been the reason why sometimes it's just text and an extra bit about your character that you can use at different times. Other times it's +1 to your AC, because it can be so different, and we like to have that undo option. Like you can cancel out of a Charactermancer level at any different time, at any time. That makes it more complicated to put it there as opposed to other places. So that's the reason why
there's just a lot of logical dependencies.
Yeah. Keith asked for a prediction on when feats would be available, and I don't have one. It is at the forefront of our minds when we talk about making the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition character sheet better. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, since we have that lovely segue and we're caught up on chat questions, let's go ahead and switch back to the pre-submitted questions.
Okay.
Let's see, that was the last one we asked.
I have one for you. Do you have any plans to introduce a one-time fee alternative to continuous subscription?
I would not say at the moment that that's something that we're looking at. We are much. The system that we have of subscription is one that's been working well for us for a long time. I would be curious, though, to understand why, Operative, you want to have a change in the way the fee structure works, because maybe there's something in there that if there's something we're not meeting, maybe we can adjust to that.
Yeah. I was just calculating, an average lifespan of 80 years, 12 months, $10 a month. What would that be? We could do a one-time. Nope, that's not.
One-time fee of $1 million paid directly into my bank account tomorrow.
Okay, the next question is from Laura, asking, are we going to see Out of the Abyss this year? I think we already answered this one, didn't we?
We did, in that I addressed that the back catalog is all coming out this year, and Out of the Abyss is definitely something that's on the D&D 5e back catalog. So yes, this year. Also, I'm just going to say, Laura, you might be pleasantly surprised by the next roundtable, and these happen every month. Make of that what you will. All right, and so we already answered the questions about feats. That was next. So Kenton, I am asking you a question from Mr. Xenarch. Can we have compendium sharing as a player, not just the creator of the game?
No, and no, for a licensing reason, not for a technical reason. I'm sorry about that. It gets really complicated when we talk about digital intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, leave it at that and move along to the question from Michael H. What?
I will say, sorry, that you can always create, you can create a game and make someone else the GM for it. So if it's that you own the thing and you want to be able to share it, you can create the game, share it in that way, make, your GM, the GM, you nominate them to GM, and then you achieve the same thing. Basically, it's just that you own the virtual tabletop on which your things are shared. Yeah.
So that's an option, and there's also an option. I mean, it depends on what your use case is. Like if it's a question of, hey, I want us to have, let's say, Xanathar's Guide, and I don't want to ask my GM to pay for it because they're GMing, and this is my way of giving back. You can gift them that, or you can do the thing that, like Kenton said, where you do buy it for yourself, create the game, and then appoint someone else to be the GM of that game.
Yeah.
All right. Michael H. asks, is it possible to add a secondary dimensional or extra storage sections on the 5e character sheets for bags of holding, backpacks, and the like?
That is an interesting idea. Absolutely. The utility of it escapes me. Right here on stream, having seen it.
I could see it. I'll raise my hand and say,
tell me more.
It would clutter my screen less, right? When I have a huge long list of items that my character is carrying, especially appearing under my active equipment list, it'd be nice to have that in another tab.
But is that, I guess the thing that's tripping me up there is understanding the bag of holding aspect. Does it need to be something different? Do you have this, I have this in my pouch, so it's easier to equip. But if I have to take off my bag of holding and summon it, that's more difficult, right? But anyway.
I don't know about Michael H. I don't expect any built-in functionality from it. I would just love to have a different, tab where I can okay, this item can carry other items, press the little plus button to expand it and close it down. Something like that.
Yeah. We have always based our character sheets off of the printed version to reduce confusion, coming over to a digital platform. And so I'd want to be careful of that, but I think it's an interesting idea. Suggestions and ideas, throw that in there, and I hope to see it sometime soon.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if Slade981 in chat is the same Michael H. that submitted the question, but they said that they have a bag and they want to know what's in the bag. It's not easy using the current inventory system.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. It is an extension off of the typical printed sheet, but that's not a no. That's just
that's not a no. That's a tell us more about it and let's look into it.
Yeah, Slade just is adding their vote to the same. So it's Michael H, Slade, and Soraya. So far.
Yes, all three of us demand this. Give it to us.
Okay.
Okay. Jed asks, are there plans to implement a 3D version of Roll20?
we joke about this sometimes when we talk about it
Roll20
behind
in the virtual
scenes.
space.
Right, like you put on your virtual space and it's just a computer with a laptop in front of you, and that's hilarious. We have looked into this in a couple different ways, both from a VR AR component, but then also just within like having a camera system and not a 2D tabletop. And excuse me, it ends up sorry, I'm looking for my notes there. We don't have plans for that, but yeah, it absolutely is something that we are keeping our eye on and considering how to do it. The thing where it breaks down for me, and a lot of times, is just how difficult it is to set that up. And so it would be a thing that I don't think people would set up on their own very well. It'd be very difficult to set up on your own. Right. Like, not, I mean, it's already not, it's already time consuming to set up a game, that spans multiple maps or multiple sessions or even just one session in a 2D environment. So that ends up being a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. I'm going to throw you a curveball. You ready?
I guess.
What
else can I do?
What about isometric views? Because we've gotten that question before, and I was asking about it.
There are a lot of really cool people who talk about how to set it up and how to use Roll20 in an isometric view online, and it actually works pretty well, right? Like I think it looks and operates okay. Setting up that perspective camera, and then like from an isometric view, you're making a flat image. It gets really weird geometry is when we try to force it in too big of a way. So isometric is definitely possible, and with one forced perspective in one certain way, it I think it works pretty well. But I'd love to figure out how to make it even better.
That'll be a playground for the future, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Doge, the Forever DM asks, do you have any plans to update the page selection tool?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Can
soon.
you tell us any more than yes? Because
No.
I am curious. Darn it.
I mean, we that is a place where imaginations run wild in a lot of ways, and so I would love to give more insight into that without making any promises. But
okay.
Yeah, I will
hang in there. Hey Doge.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to go and switch back to chat questions because that was the last pre-submitted question that we have. So chat questions it is. I see one from Garthor TMK. Would you ever consider building in a system where you could import characters from another tool like Hero Lab Online or D&D Beyond?
I guess I'm considering it right now. Does that count?
No.
Okay. Then I don't really have a good answer for that. It becomes supporting other tools is something that I am wary of, primarily because of I'll say the audio systems that we used previously were we integrated heavily with those two different tools, and they changed, and then it sent us
to make sure we don't skip over it, because Kenton and I have an internal shorthand about this, like Roll20.
And I didn't want to call out any particular person or company.
Roll20 used to use some third-party audio solutions that, when they shut down, we were left without a good audio solution and had to scramble to put a new one together that worked internally to the company.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's some wariness. I'm also told that I missed one pre-submitted question, but I'll go back to it at the end because I promised to answer chat questions. And Sins and False Alarms wants to know, as far as compendium sharing and the whole make a game for someone, then share, then join as a player, will there be a way to permanently join as a player so you don't have to bookmark the link for it or rejoin as a player every time you load in?
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say this. When you create a game, and soon there's going to be a way that you can choose to load in as a player or load in as a GM. Yeah.
Sins and False Alarms also wants to know a very important question: do you love them? Are you playing your love games with them?
No. Wait, sorry. No love games. I don't know Sins and False Alarms as a person, but I have an appreciation for every human being on Earth that has lived or ever will live or is currently living. And so, yes, I guess is the
You love them,
answer.
but in a non-specific way.
Right. A
Okay.
general positive vibe.
Awesome. All right. So then let's go back to that last forum question. And that'll be our last one. Thank you, everyone who came in chat and asked questions and hung out with us. And I guess I didn't upload this question to my my overview, which is why I thought we were done. But the last pre-submitted question is, does your team have a product owner?
So product owner is a very specific term for that exists within Scrum, right? And Scrum is a project management framework that people have used. It came out of software. It's used typically in software development, but it can be used for any kind of project. The Scrum is a very few number of things, and one of those things is the trio within that, right? Like there's a development team, there's a product owner, and then there's a Scrum Master. The product, I'll skip over everybody else's, but the product owner's role is to be the voice of the stakeholder, the voice of the customer, right? And customer is a very broad term within that. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of going over. I'm being extra here.
So asking the product director a question about project management and product ownership kind of triggers. Okay, yeah, noted for the future.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know this already, Soraya. So I function as the product owner for the development team, which works primarily on the platform, the virtual tabletop, and the website surrounding it. We do have individual other teams that operate within Roll20, and so the product owner part of my role is within that. And then from a product director standpoint, the other things that I do is help the other product owners within Roll20 to coach them and make sure that they're able to operate efficiently and those kinds of things.
I go to Kenton when I need something done, and I go, Kenton.
Yes, and I listen. I listen intently and expressively, and shake my head up and down, and take some notes, and then
That is an accurate representation of our relationship. Is me like
I was told actually by 3 different people who we all work with today. We had kind of we have like a review that happened today for my group, and I was told by 3 different people that I was positive. Like one of my strengths is that, oh, Kenton's so positive, or Kenton's always smiling. And I think that's really funny because my family is like, oh, you're so negative, you're so complaining.
You save your cynicism for at home. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Well, that's it for our questions. As usual, the sign off here is somebody's animal, and I've got a choice for chat today. You can either see my responsibility dragon, or you can see both of my dogs.
I've seen dogs before. I've seen your dogs before.
You've seen my dogs before. Dragon. They're cute.
I'm not in chat. I need to log into Twitch in order to
cast your vote.
Apparently. Okay.
All right. First votes for dogs. Sorry, dragon. You're a very pretty dragon. Oh, we got one for dragon.
It's a dead heat. Next vote wins.
The reason for why not all of the above is sometimes you got to make choices in life.
Yeah. Constraint breeds
creativity. It's dragon.
There it is.
Oh, okay. All right. So here's the responsibility dragon. I got the responsibility dragon on a day when I really didn't want to go out and do like the things that I was supposed to do to take care of my adult self that day. And I said, you know what, Soraya, if you go out and do these chores, you can go to the toy store right next to the pharmacy and buy a dragon.
That is a good idea.
Yes.
Incentivizing yourself. I should do that with exercise. Like you can run to this place and get a toy.
Yes. Like that. Yeah. Yes. That would be so good. And then every day you would come back with a toy. So yeah, this is my little water dragon. Sits on my monitor most of the time and just observes and encourages me to keep being responsible. So.
And chat asked about my chickens. They are outside, probably hiding from the rain, and it's too muddy to get them.
Yeah, no. We've talked about bringing Kenton's chickens on one day, but it requires a certain amount of coordination.
Pre-preparation, and also like frustration for the chicken on being in a box, like in my house, which is not a thing that I like to do with chickens, because they poop everywhere all the time.
They do. Yeah. I have a friend who has pet chickens, and she's in love with them, but that is the one downside. Like, they're snuggly apparently, but they just can be. Poop.
Yeah. Chickens is not house pets. That's true, Keith.
Chickens not house pets, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this today. We got through all the questions, so hooray for that. And
your computer didn't crash or like randomly
didn't crash, and
we caught up.
It seemed like the lag issue went away because people stopped saying that we were doing the robot.
Or maybe they just learned to appreciate the digital performers.
It's like going to one of those dance parties with the strobe lights, and it's just like you and me talking about Roll20.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your month. Check the VOD for this on the Roll20 YouTube, which is youtube.com/Roll20app. And come back next month. Talk to us again. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.